landslide tragedy in Wayanad, over 300 lives have been lost, is about climate change. But it is also not about climate change. The landslide and floods that we are seeing right now in Uttarakhand and Kedarnath is about climate change, but it is also not about climate change. The cloudburst in Himachal Pradesh, where 5 are dead and over 50 are missing, is about climate change, but it is not about climate change. In this episode of my show, I want to unravel what is the link between the horrific, the really tragic, devastating tragedies that we are seeing all over our country, all over the world. What is the link to climate change? What is it that we need to do? And what is it that we are getting so wrong? So the first question, why is it about climate change? We know that climate change is about the emissions that are generated because of our use of fossil fuels, the same fossil fuel energy, whether it is coal or gas, that is used to fuel all our factories, all our houses, the electricity. These emissions have led to the heat being trapped, and as a result of it, we know today that we are seeing a warmer planet. But the second link that we know is that climate change will lead to more extreme weather events. And I say this because often we think about climate change and we say, oh, why? It's only about heat. It is not. It is about the fact that we will see more and more what you could call weird, what you could call frequent, extreme weather events. So put another way, what was a flood, a cyclone once in 10 years would become a cyclone once in 5 years and is becoming one once in a year. This then is what you could call the new abnormal. My colleagues put together an annual report on the state of extreme weather events in the country. They do this by very carefully putting together, collating the data that is put out by the Indian Meteorological Department. And in the report that they put together for 2023, they find, and I say this with extreme worry and I want to underline this number to you. They find that India had seen close to 1 extreme weather event a day in 2023. Now this is how IMD classifies an extreme weather, which is extreme heat, extreme rain, extreme cyclones, lightning, floods. We have also seen record-breaking temperatures for several months and regions across the country. But now is the season of rain despair. There is a clear science of extreme rain and its connection to climate change. What scientists have modeled is that as the ocean temperatures increase, the world will see more rain. But this rain will come as extreme precipitation. So you will see more rain in fewer number of rainy days. Now think about this from the context of India. It is estimated that India gets some 100 hours of rain in a year. 100 hours. Now this is an average, but this 100 hours of rain in a year is out of the some 8,700 hours that are there in a full year. So we get a limited period of rain in any case, or rainy days or rainy hours. Just take the month of July. According to IMD, events classified as very heavy rain have more than doubled in the last 5 years. This is only for the month of July. Events that they classify as extremely heavy rain have gone from 90 in 2020 to 193 in 2024. Take data for Bareilly in Uttar Pradesh on July 8. This district got 460 mm of rain in a matter of 24 hours. Now, on an annual average, Bareilly gets anywhere between 1100 to 1200 mm of rain. So you can say that it got roughly half of its rainfall in a matter of 24 hours. It's the same in the case of Champawat district in Uttarakhand. Also on July 8th, it got 430 millimeters of rain in a matter of 24 hours. If you take Pune district on July 25th, it got 560 millimeters of rain in 24 hours. That's more than half the rain that this district gets in a whole year. Take Wayanad, where we have seen this horrific, heart-wrenching tragedy. On July 29th, the day before the tragedy struck, that district was in rain deficit. On July 30th, in a few hours, it got 6% of its annual rainfall. And this is a mountainous region. It's the Western Ghats. It has high rainfall, but this was 142 mm of rain. It led to this landslide, which was already seen to be a landslide prone area, and this created the tragedy. But even worse, in the higher reaches, the place from where the landslide really started, it got 280 mm of rain. 280 millimeters of rain in this extremely ecologically fragile mountainous region of Kerala. But the point I want to make is that this revenge of nature that you are seeing today is ours. We have made it happen. We are creating conditions through our mismanagement that makes these disasters happen. And I want to underline this because it is often very easy to dismiss all these tragedies we are seeing today as saying, oh, what can we do? This is climate change. No, it is not climate change. The fact is, climate change is not the cause of the disasters we are seeing today. It is an exacerbating factor. It is making a disastrous situation even worse. The disaster is because of our mismanagement of the environment. We are responsible. The floods we are seeing today, whether in Delhi or Mumbai or in the Himalayas or in the Western Ghats, the landslides and the floods is because of our negligence. Our total disregard for planning, for the management of our cities, and in particular the most vulnerable regions of our country. Take the Himalayas. It's the youngest mountain range in the world. Its slopes are actually built with moraine. They're not even stabilized. It is unstable region. It is prone to landslides and cloudbursts. It is also highly seismic. It is fragile. Yet we build in the Himalayas as we were building a parking lot in a congested city of Delhi, say Greater Kailash, the colony of Greater Kailash. We treat the Himalayas as they were not fragile, not vulnerable, as something that we can do anything with. We have no master plan for Himalayan cities. We are building on the floodplains. We are literally building on top of the rivers. We are blasting the mountains. We are cutting trees. like there is no tomorrow. And I say this because when I say this, people turn around to me and say, "Oh, madam, you don't want development." No, we want development in the Himalayas, but we do not want mindless development. And in an age of climate change, where the risk will go up, we will see more devastation because of this mindless development. Take last year, we heard the news of Joshimath town that was sinking. And it was very clear that this large hydropower project was very much part of the problem. In that same region, in 2021, we have tragic loss of lives when Rishi Ganga hydro project collapsed, the tunnel collapsed, there was a cloudburst and the river came down. Now, I'm not against hydro projects because hydropower is an important energy source. It is a renewable energy source. It is a clean energy source. It is a very important economic source for the Himalayas to generate revenue. So it is not about hydropower. It is about how we build the hydropower projects and how we plan for them. In 2013, I was a member of a very high-level committee that was set up to examine these projects. What I heard, to my horror, was a grand plan in which engineers had planned 9,000 megawatts in this Himalayan region of Uttarakhand. Some 70 plus hydroelectric projects were to come up. But that was not the problem. In their own plan, they said that this would mean 80% of the mighty Ganga river would be modified by building these projects. 80%. When one project would end, another would start. In fact, we learnt, and the engineers who were doing this planning told us very proudly that in their plan, the river would be left with less than 10% and it's sometimes 0% flow of water in the lean period. It will literally become nothing more than a drain. These are run-of-the-river projects, which means that you're not building a reservoir, you are essentially diverting the river a small stretch, and you're making a head for the river, generating power, and the water goes back to the river. So technically, these projects are not bad. The problem was the way they were planned. 70 projects, 9,000 megawatts, all being built back to back as you would do a highway planning anywhere in the country, not in the Himalayas. So we suggested an alternative. We said, redesign the projects to mimic the flow of the river. So when there is more water in the river, generate more electricity. And when there is less water during the summer period, generate less electricity. It would mean redesigning the projects. But the bottom line of this would be that at all times, the river should have at least 50% flow. Now this, our analysis also showed, would not have major impact on energy generation, as you would generate more electricity when there is more water. So we said, retrain engineers, not the river. Re-engineer the projects, not the river. But this was not acceptable to the engineers, as it would mean cancelling projects that have not yet been built. This report was submitted sometime in 2014. We're now in 2024. In this past decade, all the projects are now being constructed, leading to huge destruction in the region. Please be clear, not development, but mindless, flawed development. Switch to the Western Ghats. In this, we know again is a vulnerable region, a fragile ecology, high rainfall, steep hills, small area of plains before the rivers flow into the Arabian Sea. extremely fragile, eco-sensitive region. Again, in 2013, it was agreed that some 60,000 square kilometers, or roughly about 37% of the Western Ghats, would be classified as ecologically sensitive area, ESA. It was agreed that that destructive development would be banned, not restricted, would actually be banned. What does this mean? No red category or polluting industries would be allowed. No mining would be allowed. All existing mines would have to shut down in 5 years. No new thermal projects would be allowed. And even large building projects would not be allowed. And hydro projects, if they were built, would have to meet very tough conditions of both distance as well as flow. So there was a plan to protect this ecologically fragile area. The tragedy is what I will tell you now. In 2014, a draft notification was issued along these lines. A second draft notification was issued in 2015. A third draft notification was issued in 2017. A fourth draft notification was issued in 2018. And a fifth, still a draft notification, was put out in 2022. So let's be very clear. One, it will get worse. Temperatures across the world are increasing each year. The world is not on track to reduce emissions at the scale that is needed to combat climate change. Two, we have the option to fix development. The environmental destruction that we are seeing, the mindless development that we are seeing in the name of development. So let's also be very clear, this is man-made devastation. This is not a natural disaster. So when you see the next disaster, and unfortunately it is here, and we will weep for the loss of lives, remember that this is about climate change, but this is not about climate change. This is the message. Thank you.